strongest individuals I have had the opportunity to meet, and we will spend some time talking with her, and her name is Emerald Garner. So welcome, Emerald.
Hello, hi, great to see you.
And so thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to introduce you to the audience that you'll be speaking to today. So the Black Resource Network is a network of about 15,000 and growing people who live in the Southeast Queens district. And that includes residents, professionals, educators, political officials, just everyone who has a vested interest in the space that which we live, the empowerment and things that we are trying to do as a Black society to make our environment and our well-being and our quality of life better. So today, I am introducing you live to our audience. So there potentially are about 15,000 people that are listening into you. And what a better time to talk to you as this country continues to be in a flux. So I'll start off and I just want to, kind of tell you all how I met this wonderful woman, and I have so much admiration for her. So a colleague of mine had reached out to me a couple of years ago and say, hey, I really would like you to meet this young lady. And he told me her history and I just got so excited. He says, Pat, I think you would be a great, mentor friend with her. And I had the opportunity to meet this beautiful woman, and we coordinated by phone, and I had the opportunity to go to her job and meet her. And I am such a fan of who you are outside of what we're going to talk about today. And so, we're not just interviewing, we have like quarterly brunches that I do meet with her pre-COVID, and we get together and we sit down and we talk and we share beyond the pain. We just share about just who we are as people and what it takes to keep ourselves going. So I kind of want to open it up. And for those who don't know, which you should know, and after today, you'll have a better introspect, is that Emerald Garner is the youngest daughter of Eric Garner, the individual who was killed by the NYPD in 2014, as we all know across the globe, as the person who was screaming, I can't breathe. He was killed by Daniel Pantaleo, and it is something that is forever etched in our history. So I want to kind of intro it that way. And then I want to kind of dive into it piece by piece. So tell us a little bit about where you are today. I'm sure most of our audience is very familiar with this story. You're such an advocate, but I want to turn the floor over to you.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me here. It just takes me back to when I first met you, and I was working for ACS, and I was working at the foster care agency, and I kind of like took a conference room, and I was like, yeah, let's have a meeting in the conference room. Totally was not supposed to do that, but I was just like, I was just so eager to meet with you and talk with you, because when we spoke on the phone, I was just like, okay, I have to speak with her, because I'm just like, I was going through so much at that time, like with the kids, having the job, and not being sure where I was going. I was in a relationship at the time, and it was just like everything was just like falling on me like a ton of bricks. So I thank you so much for giving me that space to speak with you and having that time. And since then, I don't work at the foster care agency anymore. I was there for about 2.5 years, and then I started working for Medgar Evers College. I was working for Center for Law and Social Justice in Medgar Evers College under Loree Daniels, Esquire. She's a beautiful, powerful Black attorney. I actually met her doing an interview at Sirius XM Radio, and I kind of like pitched like, hey, I need a job. And she's like, hey, I need an admin. So that's just how it happened. And it just ended up being a great experience. And then COVID happened. Yeah. So I'm working in Brooklyn, I'm living in the Bronx, and I got this opportunity to work at Medgar Evers College, where I'm just like an official administrative assistant. I'm working for social justice and also getting a feel of the law side, because I actually almost went into becoming a legal aid. So I was like, this is cool. So I get to like, experience some things. And then coronavirus happened. And it was like, I went to work. We all bought Lysol and masks and gloves. And she had a humidifier in the office. And she was like, listen, if this gets bad, I'm going home. And I don't blame you if you guys don't go home. So like we went home that night. And I think that was like the 8th or the 9th. Of March last year, and we went home, and then she was like, okay, we're fully transitioning to remote. And I was like, wow, like it was just crazy. Like I was like, okay, I'm a homebody. I like to be home. So the first like couple of weeks, it was like, hey, let's do a couple of lives. Like I was cooking. I had my grandmother there, and it was just like the kids were doing wigs and we were doing makeup and nails and cooking treats and everything. And then it was like, okay, when is this going to be over? So then like fast forward, I moved to Brooklyn to take care of my grandmother full time. And unfortunately she passed away in November. I helped her transition. So she became, I don't want to say like she lost her mind, but I would say that she was developing dementia at 95. And at night is when she would have her episodes. So nobody knew, like she was just fine in the daytime. She could talk about things about 90 years ago, but at night it started to affect her. And then I would see that. So I moved in with her in Brooklyn, and then she ended up becoming a home hospice. And then when she came home on home hospice, I had the kids. They didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was going on. We were all quarantined. We were all in here all day. So they got to see that transition. And it was just, it was a learning experience, but also kind of one of those experiences where it was like, okay, she's 95, and I'm the grandchild that's gonna see her into her transition life. So that's what made me find some solace. And it was like with everything else going on, and taking the kids, having my father's murder all over the place, and then my sister passing away, and then fast forward to grandma, it was just like, everything that happened over the past 6 years, the anger, the hurt, the confusion, the mental health issues, all of that kind of like calmed down within me, because I was just like, here I am, this person who's been through so much in the last 6 years.
That's right.
My grandmother is 95, where she went through segregation. She had a Black mother, a white father. She's worked all her life. She was a comedian. She did so many things, and she told me so many stories where it was just like, okay, Emerald, this is your time to like step up. You have to, you have to get it done. Like you've been talking about doing your podcast, just do it. So I started the podcast. You got to get your website up. Found somebody to get the website up. I go through things with different people where, sometimes people, they use me. They use me for my image. They use me for my name. And it's just like, they benefit more than I do. And it's just like, I can't sit and dwell on that. Like, seasons and reasons. She used to always say, people are here for a season, people are here for a reason. So it's just like, they serve their purpose. Although I didn't get ultimately what I want out of it, at the time, I felt like I was getting what I needed. And then watching my grandmother transition was me realizing that everything that happens for a reason.
So I'm going to stop right there, because I want the audience to really tune in to a few things. I want to point out some gems. First of all, your energy and your just who you are, it rings through, right? And so this is why I was so excited to meet you, and why we're still friends today, because you have such a good countenance about you. And for all of the things that you've gone through over the last 6 years, the level of strength, because I don't want to miss this, the level of strength that you have is to be applauded. It is to be acknowledged. And I am going to make sure that people know that, because what we are, you got such a deep story. And in life, we deal with things that are so complex, but you have been at the forefront of watching your father murdered, which is a globalized event full of pain, where your sister, Erica, God bless her soul, at 23, decided
27. She was 27 with 2 kids.
2 kids, decided to pick up and advocate after his death in the streets, doing everything. And she had 2 children of her own. I believe at the time 8 and maybe 4.
Well, when my father passed away, yeah, she was 23, I was 22, and she had 1 daughter, I had 1 daughter. And then she had my nephew in 2017, and then she passed away 4 months after she had him.
So in the midst of being a mother, dealing with the pain and the trauma of watching your dad be killed and globalized and relive that trauma and all of the confusion, then your sister passes away, right? So now you're dealing with your dad, you're dealing with your sister, you're young yourself. And now you've got to take on her children, because that's what we do. So now you're this mom, right? Now you haven't even had a chance to grieve. You're double grieving, and you're taking on additional children with no scope of help, nothing. And you're fighting in advocacy and trying to keep the justice going for your father and your sister. So I just want to take a moment. I want the audience to receive all of that, because that's a lot. That's a major piece. And just so as we see your energy today and how you uplifted and you talk for, and you're getting it, I don't want the audience to miss that, because that is incredible strength. Some strength that I've never even seen. I don't even know that I have that strength, level of strength. But then I want to take you to how you had to fight through media and become a strong woman. So there were so many parts of you that were being teetered up at one time: anger, empathy, pain, trauma, and you had to work. You were still working, so you had to take care of these kids.
Yes.
So I don't want to be remiss about missing anything that you've done, because as we just finished Women's History Month, it doesn't mean we take 1 month to acknowledge people. And I think that we need to do a better job at getting away from those who we idolize as celebrityism and really give accolades to those who really need to be platformed in higher spaces. So I definitely want to talk about that. And then I also want you to walk us through, because you were successful in getting the Eric Garner chokehold law passed. So tell us about that. Girl, you powerful.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, wait, hold on. Kaylee, you can get the tablet. Sorry. I told her before we started and I forgot. Okay, so let me start off. Okay. So, watch my wire. Oh, she's about to knock everything down.
That's all right. We are moms. We get it.
Yeah, this on the table. It's leaned up against the bag. You can take the tablet, go in the room and close the door.
Thanks, Mom.
Yes, close the step over the wire.
Mom. See that?
And close the door. Because I'm like, she's just sitting there, just sitting at the end of the bed, just listening. I'm like, yeah, she's just listening. So I gave her the tablet. But yeah, so
the chokehold law. Tell us about how you advocated and how much of a feat that was to get that done.
So with the anti-chokehold bill, it was just like, you know, it was presented back in 2018, I believe, and then it kind of didn't go anywhere. And then it was re-presented in 2019, and it was like shortly after the CCRB trial, and it was shortly after it was after the CCRB trial. It was after the federal government decided that they were not going to indict the officer on the federal level. So that was like, I literally went viral in like 2 days, because I was just so fed up with the anger. Like, you're not gonna fire him, you're not gonna arrest him, we're just not gonna get anything at all. So I was just like, you know what? It's over. So that was the video of me screaming and being so fed up in front of the courthouse. So then when we moved on into quarantine, it was just like, you know, George Floyd murder happened. So this officer, this disgrace to human race, has sat there and murdered and squeezed the life out of another young man. And it was, and you know, I don't care how old he is, he's always going to be a young man. That's how I would describe them, because it's just like, you know, when your back is against the wall and you're crying for your mother, like that you're back to your adolescent age, where it's just like, come save me. And who's gonna save you? You know your mother's gonna come through for you no matter what. And that was one of the things where it was like, it's a defiant moment, because it's like, okay, the same thing just happened to my father. What was he thinking about? Because he couldn't get the words out. He couldn't get those out. So it's just like, you know, I didn't watch my father's video until we went to the CCRB trial. So that was 5 years later. So I didn't watch the video. Anytime that I did anything, it was turn the video off. I watched the video one time, multiple times in that courtroom. And it was just like, you know, I think that if I would have saw that video 5 years ago, things would have definitely went different, because I didn't allow myself to be, I guess, that vulnerable, because that hurt was so bad. And then to have that hurt and then go into not being able to, not like, don't know which way to turn, and then it happens again. So there weren't cases that happened in between my father's case, but specifically in the way that they were killed, that was like a double whammy. It was just like, okay, then again, like, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, we had an uproar, and it was just like, no, enough is enough, because if this law was passed when it was first presented and it was put on a federal level, this officer would have put in the back of his mind that if I choke this person to death, whether it's with an arm, a knee, a leg, a tongue, a finger, a fingernail, a toe, I would still go to jail. I would be convicted. Being arrested is not enough.
That's right.
Showing my father's picture every time his video, every time he's talked about, that's not enough. You need to show his video and also the cops photo. Nobody really knows what this officer looks like. I worked on Staten Island for 2 years after my father passed away, and I saw this cop multiple times in the street, just walking around, going into stores. And it was just like that mental trauma kept reliving. It's just like, okay, in the back of my mind, I got kids at home that I have to go back home to, and nobody's gonna take them if I go to jail. So it's just like I can't have this reckless behavior. And then 2 more kids on top of me put an extra magnifying glass on me, to where it was just like, I felt like people were like, are you sure you're capable of taking care of these kids? And your sister, and you argued so much. I was like, my sister would be going off on me on Facebook, but her daughter would be right in my house. So it doesn't matter. She could say whatever she wanted to say. She could say it and put my niece on the other side of the door, because we didn't play that. Like we were in foster care ourselves. And, we were in kinship foster care, and we ended up in a stranger home. I call them my contract family. So it's just like, sometimes it was a good situation. Sometimes it wasn't. Like a fact, I was in over 10 foster homes. Not because I was out of control adolescent, not because I was out of control. I had a juvie record, and I was out and I was put out. I left foster homes because I knew what I was supposed to get and what I wasn't supposed to get. I learned the laws. I learned what foster parents are supposed to do, what they aren't supposed to do. I took a foster parent to court for a coat because she wouldn't buy me a coat. So I knew things that they didn't want me to know. And it's just like, you're not going to treat me, and you're going to take me from my home with my mother and tell me that this is not a safe environment to put me in another environment that's just as bad. So it was just like having my niece and nephew go into that situation was not an option, because it's like, okay, if we're gonna be eating peanut butter and jelly off of a spoon, we're gonna be doing it together. And they're not gonna be with a stranger. They're not gonna be where they're not wanted. And that was the major thing. Like, nobody likes to be where they're not wanted. And that was one thing that I never want them to feel. They're never gonna not feel like anybody doesn't want them.
You're so amazing. And audience, this is who she is. And I just, my heart is like, I'm so connected to you in so many ways, because you're talking about from a space of love and family and taking care of kids and looking out for their best interests. You were put in spaces where you had to learn things about law and advocacy, and then you still had to find your grace to be a mom, to go get a job, to fight for your father, to hold up your sister's legacy, to deal with these monstrous institutions that are not right, and that they continue to oppress us in certain spaces. And you sit here today, and what I want to reference is that when you came on, you said, I sit here today after 6 years and I'm in a better space. And so you were able to get yourself all through that. And you didn't do that with a whole lot of help. And that's what I want the audience to know. Like, you didn't have a whole lot of people come in and donating money.
It wasn't, oh, hey, here, let me pay for this childcare. Hey, let me watch the kid. Everybody was like, I watch them on the weekends. I'm like, well, I don't work on the weekends. I work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And I need childcare to go to work. Like, at the end of the day, I was an advocate, I was an activist, but I could not make that my full-time job because I needed to pay bills. Like, I was living in NYCHA housing when my father passed away, and I was still there 3 years after he did. So it wasn't like anybody came in and said, oh, let me take you out of this and put you in somewhere else. I worked hard, I grind hard, I got us a bigger space. And, I got us more space for us to be comfortable. And it's like, I'm doing everything to keep us together. And it's like, as I told you a couple of weeks ago, like, it's been hard with COVID. It's been super hard. I haven't been working. It's been like savings account and whatever I could get on the flyby. So it's just like, I have to make it work. And it's just like, I see time and time again, as I see all the time, where I used to say, like, why do I have to be the strong person? Why can't somebody come in and save me? Why can't somebody come in and be like, okay, Emerald, I just want to help you just because. And it's just like, I just realized that the universe is not going to allow me to be that type of person. Like nobody's going to come and save you. Nobody's going to be like, oh, let me come and just make this, let me touch this situation and make it easier for you. It's just like, no, like the universe has taught me that, you put out what you get. Like, so I put out good energy, I get back good energy. So it's just like, I'm just going to keep putting out as much positive vibes as possible. And it's just like, one day I'm going to have my house with my indoor pool and my courtyard and my basketball court. And each of the kids are going to have their own room. And I'm going to have my little tiny home in the backyard. And they're just going to have their house and I'm going to have my house. But we're just going to be in the same property. So, that's just how it's going to be.
And you're so awesome because, I want to remind people that this is also someone who was taking care of the grandmother you know? So seeing that all the
Yes.
way through, right? Every single day, like really taking care of her. So your arms have been stretched so wide in so many ways. And so I thought it was important for the audience to meet you. Tell us about your non-for-profit that you recently launched. And I'm also going to solicit for our audience to make donations to this non-for-profit because, again, as said, this is a self effort. This is someone who's sitting down, doing the homework, understanding how it needs to be done, and really running the gamut herself. And so if we as the Black Network, Black Resource Network, say who we are, and I believe we are who we say we are, we will support this young lady. So let's hear about your non-for-profit.
So this nonprofit has gone through so many changes. So 5 years ago, it's like I want to have a foundation. I want to have something where I can help. And it was just like I didn't know what to do. So I had to like pretty much self-educate over the past 5 years. So I partnered with different organizations to see how they do things. And just so happened the foster care agency that I worked for, they were a nonprofit. So, and I was an administrative assistant, also a case aide. So I was able to have boots on the ground, but then I was also able to do the paperwork in the background. So I got to know the ins and outs. So with this organization, my first initiative is mental health. So I want to get the funding. I want to make the nonprofit pretty much my passion. My passion is my purpose. And I want to make this my purpose. I want to help victims of police brutality because a lot of the times we're left behind to the extent of our monetary, I would say monetary stature of the organ of police brutality is we get a lawsuit. And then it's like, you know, you get a lawsuit and then it's like, okay, they're good because they have a lawsuit. But what people don't understand is we still have to work. In my father's case, the lawsuit was split 7 ways from his mother, my brothers, my sisters, and lawyers. It trickled down. So it's just like everybody got a portion, but it's not life-changing money because I'm still working. It's not like I'm gonna not work anymore. So with this organization is that I want to hire mental health therapists because we didn't get mental health when this first happened to us. Mental health wasn't a priority. Putting us in front of a camera was a priority.
Wow.
Getting the story out was a priority. Oh, tell me about your father, or tell me about your relationship, or tell me about this, or tell me about that. And it's just like, but I'm crying. I'm distraught. Like I'm on the verge of suicide because it's like, am I really going to be able to deal with this trauma? And it's just like nobody heard me. Nobody heard my cries. And I feel like nobody heard my sister's cries either. And that's why she's not here. So my first initiative is mental health. So with the organization, I want to focus on mental health. I want to provide childcare. Like, you know, we're asked to go to protests. We're asked to go to different events and we don't have childcare. So we can't go. I'm not leaving my child with just anybody. It's not going to work. So, you know, I've been there. I've done that. It's not a good feeling to leave your child with somebody that you just met and you don't know this person. Although you see them standing in front of cameras all day, we see people from standing in front of cameras and now they're in jail for doing things they weren't supposed to be doing. So I didn't want my children to fall victim of that. So it's just like, I want them to feel comfortable to be able to have childcare and still be able to go out and be an advocate and be an activist. I want you to be able to still pay your bills and still be able to go out and be an activist. So I want to create a fund where if you have a nonprofit and you are directly affected by police brutality, we can help you with monetary things. Because like in my case, I needed money to move and I couldn't move. And it was like, you know, everybody was looking at me like, oh, you got $7 million. And it was like the lawsuit didn't settle till like 4 years later. So people thought I had this money in my bank account. So I felt nervous. I lived in New York City housing. So I felt like I'm about to cry, but I feel like, you know, I was comfortable because I lived there, but I was living on my own. So I was living there beforehand. So people knew me for being the girl in the building with the baby, the cute little baby that's always smiling. That was me and Kaylee. So, you know, I had I wouldn't say a reputation, but people see my face. So then when they see me on the news, of course I got nervous. I was like, well, are these people still going to be my friend? Are they going to be shady? Like, what is going to happen? And it's just like, no, I said I wanted to move. I needed to move, but I just made it work. It was just like, I'm here. Hey, I don't have all this money, but you know, I'm here. I'm here. And it was just like, I got a lot of love and respect from the guys in the neighborhood, the older women in the neighborhood, the children in the schools, the places. Like my daughter was getting therapy. We were doing family therapy, but I never got that one-on-one consistent therapy. And that's what I want my organization to bring. Mental health is so important in this situation where you're thrusted in front of a camera, nobody cares about what happens when the cameras go away. Like I could go to all these lavish talk shows and all of these BT events and everything, but the reality is I'm going back home to the projects, to a 1-bedroom apartment, and I still got to go to work on Monday. Like, no, I can't travel and go and be everywhere because I have kids. They got to get up and go to school tomorrow. Like, I don't have I don't have anybody else to lean on. So it's like I mostly lean on my friends and the people that I pay, like after school programs and all that stuff when they were open. So transitioning into full-time nonprofit, doing the work that I love, this has been my calling. Like I do food service, I posted up a couple of things about, cooking. I love to cook. I don't want to open like a restaurant or anything, but I do catering by order. And it's just like, if you order it and you want me to cook and I'll do it. So it's just like, those are hobbies that I started to pick up, and those are what I want to incorporate in my nonprofit.
You just, you amaze me. I have so much respect for you. I do recall, I think it couldn't have been last year because we were COVID bound, but I think it was the year before you do an annual event to celebrate your dad. Excuse me. And so she put together this annual event and she said, Pat, I want to invite you. And I said, sure. And I worked all day and I came out there and I'm thinking I'm going to arrive at this church and this big lavish event is going to be put together. And I arrive at the church. Emerald is getting out the car with the 3 kids herself, carrying the food that she has to set up, has to take the kids in the back, get them dressed, do their hair, prepare the food. I mean, I was overwhelmed. I'm like, are you seriously doing this all yourself? And I took a brush and a comb and I did one of the kids' hair.
Yes.
Sean King was there. And I was just, at that point, I was just like, people need to know who you are and people need to really relate, because I think there's this false sense of reality, as you said, like they put you in front of the cameras and they think everything, and there's not. There's a realistic preview of who you are, the fact that you are a mom and you're still trying to uphold these legacies. So we're excited just to meet you, and I'm so excited to bring you in front of this audience. How can people support this not-for-profit? How can people donate? Because that's really what I want to happen today.
Well, I have a website finally, wecanbreathe.net. It's WECANTBREATHE.net. And I have a PayPal set up there. We actually have a fiscal sponsor, which is AGJ. So right now we're going to take donations into the PayPal. And then if anybody wants to email me to send like paper checks, we have a address set up to where it would go directly to the fiscal sponsor, and then they would disperse it into the organization. So that was just an extra layer of financial protection for me, which was to have outside agency deal with the finances where I just oversee it, because it's just easier that way and it's just like more secure. And we're 501c3, so everything is tax exempt. So right now, if everybody wants to help and how they can specifically help, I want to do a family day, and I want to get the name that my grandmother, the name of the street where my grandmother lived on, named after her. So she lived here for 60 years.
Yep, you're back.
Sorry, someone called me. But so I want to have a big family day, and I want of course, COVID friendly, and I want to get the name or the park or the street, just a placard of my grandmother's name, because she made a big contribution to Lindsay Park houses out here in Brooklyn, and everybody speaks so highly of her. And I lived here for 13 years. She lived here for 60 years. So they know us. Erica lived here for most of her adult life and our teenage life. And then, this was the family home. So I just want to commemorate her in that way. And, we want to build the organization. That's how people can support the organization. So they can go to the PayPal, they can donate that way, or you can email me directly from the website. And if you want to send anything directly to the organization, it will go to the fiscal sponsor.
And so I'm going to start by donating $250 myself today. And so
Thank you.
I'm in this and I'm with you. And just so the audience will know, like, you are now the young matriarch of your generation, of your family, through your grandma, from your dad, from your sister. And so you also have your sister's children that you raise How do you talk to them
Yes.
about all of these traumatic things, and how do you keep them so that they can grow up in a positive? Because all of this footage still kind of re-shows from time to time. How do
Yes.
you manage that?
Well, Alyssa was 8 when it happened. That's her oldest daughter, and my nephew was 4 months. So he doesn't really know what's going on. So with Alyssa, she watches her mom's videos. She actually just did an article for school where she took the one of the first articles that came out on my father. She took out specific information, and I was just like, I didn't know she knew this. And she reiterated it, and she put this whole piece together with like still images from my father's video in her school project. And I was just like, I was like, wow. So then, like, I go through the little tablets. I go through the tablets and the phones at night when they're sleeping. I don't let them know. But, she's looking up her mom's videos. She looks up my videos. She knows what's going on. And she said that she wants to be an activist. And I know it's very hard for her because when she looks at me, she sees my sister because we look alike. So it's just like, she's like, because when she first came to me, she's like, well, I guess we could live together. You kind of look like my mom. I was like, oh, okay. So it's just like, I know that it's hard for her. It's not easy for her. She goes through her depressive states. She goes through her mean girl phases. She's about to be a preteen. So she's just feeling herself, like, like she's getting a feel of herself. Like she's trying to identify with what's going on around her. So I'm just glad that one of my cousins, Shareem, shout out to Shareem, she stepped in. She's actually a foster parent, and she works with mental health, and she's working with me to work with my niece, because it's like, I'm like, I know something's wrong. I know she wants to talk about it, but she doesn't know how to talk about it. But I feel like if other people give her that love to say, well, maybe you don't want to talk to auntie because you feel like it's going to make her sad. Well, you can talk to me because, I'm just another person that you could talk to. So she's building connections with her, with my mom's side of the family.
That's awesome. You are just absolutely incredible. I could keep you on here and talk about you for so long. I have so much respect for you.
Don't worry, my book is coming soon. I actually have a
tell us
book
about that.
coming.
We want to support as much as we can.
Yes, I have the book coming soon. I'm trying to have it out by the end of this year. It's actually going to be a memoir of myself, me and someone. I'm sorry, I was kind of crying a little bit, trying to hold back my tears. Mm-hmm. So the book is basically going to be about my life and my journey. So I just shared a little snippet of it. So it's like, I don't want to talk too much because then, I don't want to put too much that's going to be in the book. But I definitely am working on that. And I want people to see me as, I did a photo shoot recently. And the photographer asked me, how do you want to be seen? And I said, I've done different things in my work career. Like I've been in retail, I've been in admin work, I've been, I worked at B&H in the bagging area. I worked in factories gluing things together. So I've done a lot of things. And I was like, people see me as a victim. People see me as Eric Garner's daughter and somebody who just has a sad story to tell. And it's like, I want people to see me as the underdog. I want people to see me as the swan. I want people to see me as, the CEO. I want people to see me as that powerful young Black woman that came out of a rough situation and came out on top. That's right. So when he captured the photos, I'm really excited for everybody to see the photos because it's like a photo shoot where I felt comfortable and I felt like the role that I want to be. Like I want to be seen as, I know I'm always going to be Emerald Garner, Eric Garner's daughter and stuff. And it's just like, but I have so much more to offer. I have so much more to put out in the world. And I want people to see that.
Let me tell you something. And this is just the beginning of your introduction to those who have not had an opportunity to hear from you in an intimate space. So you can rest assured that when your book is out, we will definitely make sure that the masses know about it. When we see the photo shoot, we will share and reshare. And I love the concept of him asking you, how do you want to be seen? And you getting a chance. And you shouldn't even worry about how you want to be seen because I see you as that already. Your journey and who you are and your resilience, because I think that's the overarching theme, is the resilience that it takes for you to get up and still show up with this energy and smile and have joy of life. And so I fully support you. We've done some things where we were donating toys and anything that we can do to support the family day and the things that you do. And then the 3 kids are just adorable. So if you follow her, you see little snippets of her lifestyle, and it is just absolutely amazing. I am looking forward to amazing things from you.
Yes.
You know that we are forever connected. I am a fan. I adore you in many spaces. And I just wanted to thank you for giving us time, especially as this country is going through a realization and a
Mhm.
re-traumatization of what we have to watch, with the trial. So we're being re-traumatized all over again. And we don't want to stay in the space where we're re-traumatized, but we also don't want to forget because there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yes.
So the things that you've done with the anti-chokehold law, that was major. That was absolutely major. So for all of the elected officials here, this is a person who's made something happen. So I am so excited about you. We thank you. And we
Thank
will make sure that we have all of your information scrolling across the screen so people can make donations and follow up. And I stand firm that I'm going to do two. I said one donation, but I'm going to do two. I'm going to do one to the not-for-profit, and then I'm going to do one to you for the kids, because those are
Oh, thank
safe.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
joining
much.
us. And on behalf of the Black Resource Network, you are always welcome. So whenever the book drops, whenever anything major happens, you have this platform and you're welcome back. So we want to
Thank you
thank
so
Emerald
much.
Garner today for sharing her time. Thank you, Black Resource Network.
Thank you.